So I got to tell you, Seth, first of all, welcome to the show, everybody. Seth came in.
That's what you had to tell me. We've been hosting this damn show for 11 years.
11 years, man.
Almost?
Every once in a while, I read something on ESPN or CNN or SI.com or Bleacher Report or something. And it reminds me of something.
You read the Bleacher Report?
Every once in a while. And it,
But what?
I don't know. And it reminds me of something that I once said. So the biggest what ifs for every Eastern and Western Conference team is articles for the last 5 years is written by Tim Bontemps, who I really like. And it's an ESPN article, one for the East, one for the West. Did you see the Eastern one for the Knicks?
No. I what do you call it? I started it. I just haven't had it. It's been a busy couple of days. I haven't had a chance to finish it.
So the biggest what if is if the Knicks selected Tyrese Halliburton over Obi Toppin.
Oh, that's funny.
And how that would have changed the course of the Knicks. And yeah.
Well, then you also aren't going to sign Brunson.
No, you would, because Halliburton's a bigger guard. I mean, Brunson could play with a 6'4" guard.
You're not. I don't think you're signing Brunson if you draft Halliburton.
If you draft Halliburton and you get Brunson, let's say it all plays out the way that it did today. They're in the top 3 in the East. Maybe,
okay.
And potentially could win the East. Could.
Do you feel they could win the East right now?
No, I don't. I think if you have Halliburton as your starting backcourt with Brunson, you are a lot better off than where you are today.
Okay. I don't think you're getting Brunson if you're signing Halliburton.
Okay. Well, the biggest one for the Mavs was signing Brunson to a 4-year, $55 million contract when they had that option.
Yeah, that seems like it would have been a solid move.
I mean, if you go through them, and we're going to have Gary 8 on the show to talk.
Really? Is he going to show up this time?
Hopefully. So, all right. So some of the better ones. What if the Celtics had re-signed Al Horford instead of gone through the Kemba Walker concept, right? Instead of going after the big fish called Kemba Walker, they just re-signed Horford.
Oh, they got stuck. I mean, Walker became all NBA, and I don't have it open right now, but he became all NBA and all the NBA player. But was he really an all NBA player?
Well, and that's the biggest what if for Charlotte, because if he doesn't become an all NBA player, then he probably stays in Charlotte because
and
he
a
doesn't
much more reasonable contract.
Right, exactly. He doesn't get a max contract. So that was the Charlotte one. I like the Bulls one of what if Lonzo Ball doesn't get hurt?
Well, it's been pretty much 2 years at this point. So
hasn't played in 2 years. What if Detroit drafts Tyrese Halliburton
instead of Killian Hayes?
Yeah.
Then you have a very big backcourt.
If the Pacers, Oladipo doesn't get hurt.
He wanted to leave anyway.
Maybe, but Oladipo would have signed a huge deal with the Pacers. Remember, he was like an all-NBA player at that point.
Yeah, he had a great year and then he got hurt.
Right. What if Miami didn't trade for Jimmy Butler? Or conversely, what if Philly didn't let Jimmy Butler go?
Then they probably would have won a championship by now.
Yep. What if Milwaukee doesn't sign Brook Lopez? The thing is, Brook Lopez just changed his whole game, right? I mean,
yeah.
You realize Brook Lopez is the leading scorer in Nets history?
I do, only because there was I think I was doing a Sporkle, and it was one of the 2 teams I didn't get. You remember the good old days of Sporkle?
I do.
I do it more and more now.
The leading scorer in Nets history. I would never in a million years picked him.
Nope.
Never. Does that and I assume that includes the ABA with Dr. J. Dr. J just wasn't there long enough, right? I mean, for all we know, for all we talk about Dr. J and the Nets, he was only there 3 or 4 years. Like, he wasn't there a tremendously long time.
He was there longer than that, but yeah.
Okay, so Jonathan. So when you get to injuries, Jonathan Isaac doesn't hurt his knee. Well, okay. I mean, what if Kawhi Leonard had stayed with the Raptors? They would be a title contender for the next 2 to 3 years. I mean, the thing about Kawhi was that he left and they got nothing for him. Like, when free agents leave and you get nothing for those guys, it is a huge hole, as opposed to you make a trade, right? And you get something, whatever that something is. What if the Wizards had traded Bradley Beal 2 years ago? Well, you mean when everybody said they should have traded Bradley Beal 2 years ago?
Well, Tommy Shepard would probably still have a job.
Yep. Okay, so that's the Eastern Conference. Go to the Western. Well, what if the Mavericks had extended Brunson? There would be no Kyrie Irving. That's definitely for sure. What if the Nuggets, Jamal Murray hadn't gotten hurt in April 2 years ago? They would have. I think they would have 3 championships.
They may be They may be a 2-time champion. Yeah.
What if Golden State drafts LaMelo Ball instead of James Wiseman? Because Wiseman brings nothing to the table, right? In 3 years, he was like Hakeem Thabit. That's the best comparison.
I don't know. I mean, it probably would have come in handy when Thompson got hurt. Or Thompson was hurt already at that point.
Thompson was hurt. That's how they got him to begin with. That was the year that Thompson and Curry were both hurt.
Sure.
What if the Rockets don't trade for Russell Westbrook? Well, they have a lot more draft picks. I mean, they don't owe that draft pick to New Orleans this year. I mean, the Lakers, what if they don't make the Westbrook trade?
They would probably be in the same position they're in now.
Oh, I don't think so. They'd have a lot more depth.
Well, I mean, no, they've just brought in 6 guys for depth. That's what I'm saying.
What if Memphis doesn't move up to get Ja?
I don't remember that Memphis moved up to get Ja.
No, the draft move up. They got lucky in the lottery.
Oh. Well, who'd they beat out?
Well, so either they move up into the top 4. So they either had to give up the pick to the Celtics if it was anywhere outside the 8 picks, or move up to the top 4. Because the Lakers had already leapt from 11th into the lottery. Remember, this was the Lakers pick. And then when it got to the Grizzlies selection, they had 2 possible outcomes: move up into the top 4 or lose that pick to the Celtics. And they didn't lose the pick. They moved up to the top 4 and got Ja. What if Minnesota doesn't make the Rudy Gobert trade? They are a lot more interesting right now.
Yeah.
Because they have a future. That team is going to – I like that team. You know I like that team.
I do.
You know I've always liked that team. And
they're your Sacramento Kings in Portland Trailblazers.
And I think they'll actually be – they'll be better. Like, I think this year they're actually going to be pretty good. I think it'll work. So
yeah, I mean, look, it has to.
Well,
they have no choice.
Or it doesn't, right? I mean,
what else can they do?
Right.
They have no draft picks. They have no payroll flexibility. This is what they got.
Okay. Moving forward, New Orleans doesn't move up to get Zion. What if Oklahoma City didn't get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the Paul George deal? So if
then they would be probably, if we had relegation, they would be pretty.
think you froze.
They'd have 37 first-round picks and 140 million under the cap. I mean, they would have nothing.
But the Clippers may be champions.
Yeah, but you didn't ask about the Clippers.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If that trade doesn't take place and the Clippers have Alexander, George, and Kawhi, if they said no to including Alexander, that would be an experience. The Kings draft Luka instead of Marvin Bagley.
Wow, that team would be a title contender.
And Vlade Divac would still have a job. And then finally, the last one was, what if – oh, no, there are two more. What if San Antonio had traded Kawhi to the Lakers?
I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah, that deal had Brandon Ingram going the other way. So it would have been Kawhi and LeBron, and there wouldn't be an Anthony Davis deal. I mean, that would have been – and who knows how that would have played out. And then the last one is, what if Utah's Michael Conley had hit the shot at the end of Game 7 in the bubble versus Denver? So then Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell make a finals.
No, it wasn't a finals.
They make a Western Conference Finals. Excuse me. They make a Western Conference Finals. And do you break up that team at that point and trade Gobert? Because that was the reason why that didn't work. But these are all what ifs. I love the what if scenarios.
Those are always fun.
Those are always fun. And okay, so moving on, right? I mean, I love talking about it. Last time we talked, there was a $775 million man supposedly going to be making money. That didn't happen, right? Saudi Arabia never happened.
Nope, never happened.
So he's staying with his team. Is that
as of now? Although there is a rumor he will not play.
Like not play?
Like they will bench him for the year.
Oh, they will, but they'll pay him.
Yes, he'll be paid. He should be receiving an $80 million. What do you call it? Pretty soon.
It's not
$80 million signing bonus.
It's not that he won't play; it's that they won't play him.
Yes.
That's a big difference, right? He won't play as Le'Veon Bell. They won't play him is Terrell Owens. So,
there you go.
All right. So you have your first fantasy draft coming up. Have you made a decision?
I have not. I have not. So I just feel like it's a whole bunch of mediocre.
So what do you got? So let's talk this through again.
Okay. So 2 keepers, $200 league. Excuse me. This is you can keep players for 3 years, and this is the 3rd year or 4th year. So everyone that's been kept for 3 years, i.e. Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, all these guys that have been kept forever are now back in play.
Yep.
So I have Herbert for 1 more year at $15. And then it's a question of who the heck do I keep? I have like B-level running backs, or I can trade for B-level wide receivers. So it's Christian Watson I can trade for at 7 and get for 7 and keep for 7. I have Miles Sanders I can keep for 8. I have Cam Akers I can keep for 5. I can probably try and trade for Chris Olave for 7. None of them really excite me, to be perfectly honest. They just don't.
Yeah,
I know you think I should do Olave.
I think you should do Olave because I look at it past this year, right? When you're talking about keepers, and we're going to talk about our own in a couple of minutes, as to where you go, is you're in a dynasty league. You're going to keep these guys for multiple years, potentially. And you still have Akers, right? Akers is still an option, correct?
Yes.
So I would pick Akers. So I'd protect Akers over Sanders. Like, I don't think that would be an issue for me. The question is the boom and bust potential here. Watkins is definitely the biggest boom potential. Watson, excuse me. Definitely the biggest boom, right? Highest ceiling of all the players. He is the highest ceiling. He also has, to me, the lowest floor. By far, the lowest floor. And part of that is because Love is the quarterback, and we don't know what you're getting from him. I think your safest bet is Miles Sanders, because you know he's going to start the year. He'll get the majority of the carries. But he's also playing with Bryce Young, who is a rookie quarterback. For all intents and purposes, he's going to be the starting quarterback. I can't imagine they draft this guy number 1 and don't start him. This is not.
Yeah, they already announced he was starting.
Okay, this is not the age of Steve McNair and Chris Chandler. So he's going to start. So you know that 8 in the box is going to be the way it goes, and they don't even have any wide receivers. I mean, they traded DJ Moore. So, but you know he'll get the carries. Cam Akers, I have a love for Cam Akers. I've had it for a couple of years. I think at some point he will break out. The fact that Sonny Michel retired this week and their backup is Royce Freeman lends me even more stability into that pick. And then you have Olave, who you know has a quarterback that can throw the ball, can get catches. Whether or not Michael Thomas is there, because Michael Thomas was there last year off and on, and he still got his balls. I think this is a choice of Thomas versus Olave to me. Sorry, not Thomas. Akers versus Olave. Akers versus Olave. I would, depending on who else is kept. Do you get a list of that? Do you know who else is kept?
No, not as. I mean, I know some of them. I'm pulling up on my phone right now. But let's see here.
I guess my point is, are there a lot of wide receivers kept, or are there a lot of running backs kept?
Fields, Tua, Amon St. Brown's kept.
What do you got for running backs kept? Like, how high is the bidding going to go if you let go of both Akers and Sanders that you have enough money to do that?
Ramondre Stevenson is kept.
At what?
9.
Okay.
He was supposedly going to keep Trevor Lawrence, and I was going to trade for Stevenson at that point. But
this is a 2-quarterback league, right?
Super flex.
Yeah, go trade for Lawrence then.
Well done.
Why not make the move and go trade for Lawrence?
Lawrence was already traded for.
Oh.
And Lawrence is being kept at. He was traded for, I think, $13 and is kept at 41 or 32 or something like that.
Got it.
So I'm just looking to see who else is kept. Don't know. Not too many people have finalized their keepers, but they have to be in tonight. Oh, Burrow and Garrett Wilson. Yeah, I mean, my gut is I'm going to go with Akers. Even though it does kind of scare the crap out of me after last year's first 12 games, simply because there are so few 3-down running backs, and there are so many wide receivers out there. And I just have to. The problem with this league is everybody overbids on everything, and it makes it very awkward.
Well, and then you just have to sit out the first round of the bidding, right? You
right,
play Mike.
But you know what happens when you sit out for too long.
Yeah,
you sit out for too long. I mean, my team. It's awkward.
Yeah, it's a total judgment call where you have to when are you going to enter that bidding? And I will tell you from personal, and this is something that our fans know. We've gone down this path. Look, 3 years ago, we thought we entered the bidding way too late, and we wound up with the 3 best wide receivers in football. So, I mean, we were like, oh, yeah, we got Cooper Kupp and Debo. Okay, we got like 2 number 2s. And then all of a sudden we got Cooper Kupp and Debo. And we got like 2 number ones, right? I mean, sometimes it lucks out that way. And I'm interested in your thoughts. Look, we're going to have our fantasy football preview in a couple of weeks. We're going to have to move a couple of Wednesdays to Tuesdays or Thursdays, but we'll make that up. Do you see any players, at least, that you're eyeing right now, that you're looking at and saying, he's undervalued, I want to get that guy, especially going into training camp?
I haven't really started looking yet. I mean, I think Waller is the number one wideout in New York. I think he'll be high located, but he's probably understated. Ayuk, I think, is a nice player who typically doesn't get enough love. I'm debating on. I'm curious. Alexander Madison, I think, is an obvious pick.
Yep.
Because nobody knows. I mean, do they have a second running back?
Nope. But if you're going to go with that concept, then you're keeping Akers, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm probably leaning for.
I mean, that's the end of the day, right? If you're basing it on touches and who's going to get the touches, and look, we should be looking into that too. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm looking at our team right now.
Well, I think
our team was so hurt by the end of last year. God,
well, we're hurt every year, right? I mean, that's how we got Jimmy Clausen.
Yeah. Our starting quarterbacks for the playoff. My God, we didn't even start a second quarterback.
We didn't have a second quarterback.
It was Teddy Bridgewater and Brock Purdy were our starters.
By the way, Purdy wasn't bad until he hurt his elbow.
But we were starting Chris Moore. I don't even know who the hell Chris Moore is.
Chris Moore? I don't even know who that is.
Who the hell is Chris Moore?
I have seriously, I have no idea. None whatsoever. What team is we really were playing Chris Moore?
That's what it says.
Nah. Hold on. There's no way.
To be fair, we had Debo and Cooper Kupp on the DL.
Chris Moore had all of 48 catches last year. We started 48 catches and 2 touchdowns.
There we go. That's how we were broken last year. Jesus.
This team. I mean, our bench, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, dude, we have Alexander Mattison on our bench.
We do.
But
I don't know what we got him at.
We should look into that. We should see how, because you get him for half the cost of the transaction. I didn't realize we had him. That could change our entire concept. You know that, right?
Now, as I said, I don't know what we got him at. So
I'm going to go look at what we got him at. I mean, that would be huge if we got him at something resembling.
So we would keep Cooper Kupp, Akers, and Madison.
And Madison. No, or Cooper Kupp, Olave, and Madison. I mean, Olave, I think we get at 6. So I mean,
no, that's a no-brainer then.
I don't know how we look at last year's stats.
I can't find it, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I'll find it later. But that would be tremendous if we could keep him. Because Mattinson's that team's going to run the ball. I didn't even realize we had him. I will pat myself on the back for good lookout, Sean. Good lookout. Well done. Thank you.
Coming off our worst year in 10 in this league.
Yeah. Every once in a while, we have a bad year. It does
we
not.
We were 8-1, and Derrick Henry got hurt.
I said it does not happen very often.
Yeah, well, I'm saying we were 8-1, and Derrick Henry got hurt, and that was it.
Not last year.
Yeah, last year.
Did we drop Henry?
We weren't keeping him. He was at like 50 or something, I think.
And we must have dropped Henry. Okay, I'm really curious what we got Madsen at now. Like beyond curious.
Okay, we have a show to run.
I
Shouldn't
know.
we talk about your beloved Mets, who also may be relegated?
Well, I am wearing a Mets shirt for that reason. Relegated, huh? I was going to wait for Gary A to join the show to talk about the Mets, but I guess I'll talk about him now. We can talk about your Yankees getting a middle reliever.
Yeah, that was about as pointless can be. Either start the rebuild or try and do something. That's doing nothing.
It doesn't appease you as a Yankee fan?
I just want to make sure my son keeps being a Yankee fan after going to his first game last week.
So how did he enjoy the game?
He liked it. He was disappointed he bought his glove. And
he didn't catch a ball? Congratulations.
We were in the third tier front row or second row, I forget which. On the left, on the third base side, there weren't too many balls coming near us. I mean, watching Alonso and Vogelback hit home runs, my God, I can't believe they make it around the bases. It was Volpe threw a 12 bouncer into the dugout. They looked like a minor league team.
So this was your first experience with the pitch clock, though, right?
It was.
Okay, so tell me, was it a better? So I'm interested.
The game still was 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it didn't really matter. We left after the 7th, so we were 10 minutes from home by the time the game ended.
You do understand that if there was no pitch clock, that's a 4-hour game, right?
Yes, which is why I don't watch baseball. I mean, Jake enjoyed it.
Okay.
He was a little confused by all the booing.
Well,
that's okay. And I got to hang out with my son, so I was happy. So then I'm taking him. I think I'm getting Giants training camp tickets from Randy tonight for Saturday. So I
will tell you, I haven't looked at the baseball standings in a while. The Yankees
They're kind of weird.
Yankees are in last place.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's over 500 in that division, but 11 games out. When's the last time the Yankees were in last place?
1992.
Right. I mean, it's been a while.
I mean, the last time they were this year relevant was before the strike. The strike was 94. That's when they had the best record. Them in Montreal had the best records in baseball. And so 92, 91, 93, around there.
So right now, the Yankees, if they were in the Central Division.
Yeah, they'd be leading the Central. But they're not. So.
Right. But the difference is this year, as opposed to every other year, is that for the first time, is that everybody plays the same amount of games against everybody else. It's not you have more games in your division anymore. So that means down the stretch, you won't just be playing your division, which means
right. But I don't know who they've played.
No, I'm just saying you have a harder chance of making up ground because you used to be playing the Red Sox all September.
They are right now, so they're tied with Seattle and with the Angels. The Angels are making a run at it because I think the only way they think if they make a run and something magical happens, they have the chance to keep Ohtani. I'm assuming because that's the only thing that would make sense.
Or even if they don't keep him, their best shot of winning in the next couple of years is keeping him for this year. Their best shot of winning, even if they trade him away, they reset. So they're down 3 to 4 more years before they become relevant again.
I mean, because of what you can get for him or could have gotten for him. You still have Trout. You have players. If you let him go, please explain to me how that's better. You're getting a couple draft picks?
No, I think you're missing what I'm saying.
Probably.
I'm saying that if they keep him and load up, which is what they did, right?
Mhm.
And load up is relative to what they got. They didn't get stars. They moved around the edges. They got CJ Cron. They got Mike Moustakis. They brought in people. Yeah, Mike Moustakis.
A stirring.
Right. They didn't bring in all stars because they didn't have trade bait to do it. They brought in Lucas Giolito, who's
That's actually a nice
I'm
pick.
saying it's a good pickup. I don't think Artie Moreno is under the thought process that even if they win, well, maybe he is if they win, but even if they make the playoffs, that Shohei Ohtani is going to stick around. I think he believes that if they traded him, they were going to be back. They may be 2-3 years setback, and Trout will be out of where Trout is right now by the time that happens. And this is their best chance to win in the next 5 years.
So this is pretty much it's the Kawhi Leonard deal.
Yes.
Toronto.
This is the Kawhi Leonard deal, except you didn't do anything. You just
but
picked your guy.
You bring in Kawhi for 1 year to win the championship and then try and woo him.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what they did. They said, we got Ohtani for this 1 year. We're going to make the run this 1 year. We're going to load up with Lucas Giolito and CJ Cron and hope that Trout and Anthony Rendon become healthy. Although Trout's injury, that hamate bone injury, is a killer for a power hitter. We've seen it takes years to come back, Mark Teixeira, in that. So the question is whether he becomes what he is. Gary, we're waiting for you to turn on the camera, bud. Once you turn on the camera, we'll let you on.
He's not used to having video. He's not used to people seeing his face.
He's got the cats. It's all about the cats.
Oh, God.
You have like the cat lady. Gary's like the cat guy. We're waiting for you, bud. Anyway.
Okay, well, we'll keep going until he figures that out.
Yeah, he figured it out. Where's the cats, buddy? Hold on, we're bringing you on. Where's the cats? We need the cat.
They're here. They're around here somewhere. Let's see. Here's one.
All right, Catman.
And there's
Catman
number two.
Dude. He's Catman Dude. All right, so
what's up, bud?
I saw your post last night. I understand that you are depressed.
Yes.
As a Mets fan, I get it. I got to tell you, I'm happier today than I was 2 days ago as a Mets fan.
Oh, I'm not.
Okay, so do share why what they did for this year and for next year would have been better holding on to these two guys.
Well, there's no question that this year was more or less lost. But I view it like this. I view that they traded, to make an analogy, they gave away useful, productive furniture in a house with the hope that they got some lottery tickets for Christmas that will be worth enough they can buy better furniture in the future. That's how I see this. I think
Isn't that how every trade's made?
What's that?
Isn't that how every trade's made?
Well, a lot of them are, but look at the Rays. They acquired themselves a 28, 29-year-old pitcher for lesser prospects than it took these teams for the Mets to get. And to me, I'd rather a 28-year-old with a 3.5 or a 4.1 ERA who's going to be here for 5 years and is a known commodity than guys who, let's be honest, may very well never make the show. I mean, when you talk about prospects, what is the conversion rate? 1 out of 5, maybe?
Hold on. So the prospect that the Indians got for that first round, for that pitcher that you were referring to, was a top 80 prospect in the rankings.
Okay. So
hold on.
Is this the Verlander deal or is this the Scherzer deal?
No. Neither one. He's talking about the trade that the Indians and Rays made, and the Rays got the best pitcher on that is healthy on the Indians, and they gave back a first base prospect. I can't remember that guy's name, but I think he was ranked 70th overall by Baseball America. Are you giving up Ronnie Murcio for that? Because that's your equivalent.
I would rather have traded him I would rather have traded some guys who aren't in the show yet to get guys who will be on the team.
Well, that's the only guy you're talking about, that one specific trade. That is the only guy that was going to be the equivalent of
I would have.
it's getting.
Well, then I would have traded Ronnie for that guy. Yes, because I don't know what Ronnie's going to be. Look, these guys who haven't made it yet, a lot of them aren't going to make it. A lot of them are going to become lastings millage. A lot of them are going to become nobodies. And I am not a fan of trading known quantities for wild cards. I'm just not.
Okay. And so, number one, well done on the lastings millage reference. I thought you were going to bring up Alex Ochoa, but lastings millage is look, the Mets and Yankees are famous for prospect hype, right?
Yeah, how's Clint Frazier working out for everybody?
Right, exactly. I mean, Brian Taylor. I mean, we can go on and on and on about prospects for the Yankees and Mets that did not pan out. I have a whole Generation K that didn't work out for me, right? I get what you're saying. My joy is not necessarily the fact that we got the lotto tickets, although those are always nice to have, right? The more lotto tickets you, as Bill Belichick says, the more lotto tickets you have, the more likely you are to win one. He says that in the draft all the time.
Yeah, he's done wonderfully in the draft over the years, especially at quarterback.
You know what? He's won championships, and I'm a Jets fan. So I mean, it's kind of hard. But the fact is, they weren't going anywhere this year, correct?
I agree with that. But you know what? The way I look at it, they did have about the 4th or 5th best record in the month of July across all of Major League Baseball. They were playing better, and they're only 6.5 out of a wild card. So to me, I'm not looking to give up. I'm looking to refortify and try to make a run. Look, they have 60-something games left or whatever it is. It's not insurmountable to make up basically one game out of every 10 and get back in the playoff picture. Like, to me, improve the bullpen, get another decent starter like the guy that the Rays acquired, and give a go at it. Like, I'm just, to me, not only does this wave the white flag on this year 100%, it also waves the white flag on the next 2 years without any guarantee that will come out of it anyway. I'm just not a fan.
Okay, that's fair. And as I told Seth earlier today, if you think Steve Cohen is not opening up his wallet again this winter, I think you're fooling yourself. I think.
Who are the big free agents coming in next year? I don't know. I'm asking.
So you know the one in California we just talked about.
You're not getting Ohtani. So.
I agree. I do not believe he is coming to the East Coast. I think he will wind up in one of 3 places.
Seattle, San Francisco, LA, something like that.
I think he winds up in San Francisco because I think San Francisco says, I couldn't get Judge. I couldn't get Correa, thankfully. I'm going to go $60 million a year and bring in Ohtani. I really do. I think, and I don't think the Dodgers get it. There is Julio Urias as the pitcher. There is Aaron Nola from Philadelphia. Are we looking at a television screen upside? Do you have one on your ceiling?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right.
That was so confusing.
Sorry.
And then we have the Japanese pitcher, right? Who is 25 years old. So there are three type A pitchers that can come over who are all under the age of 28. Let me ask you, Gary, if you're Steve Cohen and you have the opportunity to go get 2 of those guys as opposed to Verlander and Scherzer, are you a fan of doing that?
I would rather do that, yes, and get those 28, 29, 30-year-old pitchers because I want known guys. I want proven guys who maybe don't have the same upside but have a much higher floor and are much more known because I don't think they were done this year. I think they are like 90% done, but I think that 10% coupled with the fact that a few guys had bad years, you're out Edwin Diaz, which is a huge deal. I don't think people make enough big of a deal out of that. And I think that if you make a couple of reinforcements, you could salvage this year and you keep yourself in a position to be much better next year. This just resets the clock and puts you in like a weird tweener position where you're half reloading, half rebuilding. And I don't know what to expect the next couple of years. And I don't like that uncertainty. It's not the right time for this to me. If you were going to do this, trade everyone. Trade Lindor, trade Alonso, trade McNeil, trade Nimmo. Just blow the whole thing up if you're going to do this.
Okay. This is why I believe in relegation.
Well,
move them down to AAA.
So, Seth, there's a couple of things going on here. Nimmo has no value because he's got 7 more years on that contract.
Oh, you talk about Lindor? Yeah, that's not.
No,
That's never,
I'm even talking Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo has no value.
By the way, I just have to give Seth credit here. He's being a soldier talking about his favorite topic in the world.
That's fine.
That's all right.
Occasionally, we talk soccer and tennis
Dude,
here.
you missed the whole soccer discussion last week, and I get no credit for that.
Right, but you started the discussion.
I was about to say, I initiated the soccer discussion, which gives me some credit there. But look, Lindor's got no value at $32 million, $33 million for 7 more years. Nimmo's got no value.
We're paying the guys that we traded anyway not to play for us, so what does it matter? That's the other part of this I don't like is like them paying most of their salaries just to get rid of them too. Like, so really, like, it's dumb.
Well, you're paying half of their salaries, but
you're paying a lot to get rid of very good players for minimal potential players. There's no big upside players that they got.
I don't think there's minimal potential. I think Acuna becomes your number 2 prospect overall.
This is Acuna's brother. This is Ronald Acuna's brother, correct?
Yeah. There's high quote upside with this, but the probability of that upside converting to it anywhere near its quote potential historically is so low that the equation to me, the value is not there, especially given the fact that we're paying half the money, like you were just saying, to have very good players not play for us. I'm just not a fan. I just don't like the whole thing. I really don't.
Okay, fair enough. So look, I'm not going to convince you otherwise. It's not going to work. I mean, I've been trying to convince Seth about things for years and nothing's happened. And you're far more stubborn than he is.
Oh, no.
So, okay, well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears to what we were just talking about before you joined.
Okay.
Shohei Ohtani with the Angels.
Yep.
Okay? First of all, do you think even if they make the World Series that he re-signs with the Angels?
What about the Angels? Do I think if they make the World Series, does he re-sign? Is that the question?
Yes.
Yes, I do. I think, in fact, if they even make noise in the playoffs, he re-signs. I think he's looking for a reason to stay there, and he just hasn't been given one.
Well, I got to tell you,
if that's the thought process, then Artie Moreno did the absolute right thing.
And I got to tell you, I have been rooting for the Angels all year. Like I want Ohtani in the playoffs, right? I want Trout in the playoffs. If you are a baseball fan, you want these guys in the big stage, right? And for somebody, and I will consider myself one of those people that absolutely despise the thought of the wild card. I mean, Seth will tell you, I despise every change to every sport that's ever been made. I like
except for the pitch clock.
Pitch clock, yes. I was a fan of because I think it brings in more fans more than anything else. Not because I like the change. I don't like the change. But without the wild card, they're toast already.
No, the wild card makes – and I like the wild card changes over the years because it does extend and elongate a otherwise really long season.
So you have a 9-month season going 10 months or an 8-month season going 9 months?
No, when I say elongate, I don't mean in that sense. I guess it does do that, which isn't ideal. But when I say elongate, I mean it elongates the relevancy of more teams for more of the season.
Fair.
That's more what I meant that I like. Because right now, you mentioned the Angels. The Mets would be, completely toast if it wasn't for the wild card, right? Like they're 7.5 out of the first wild card, or 8.5 out of the first wild card, and 6.5 out of the second. Like, they're 12, 15, 16 or something out of the division. They're not catching Atlanta. No one is. Philly's not catching Atlanta. They're 11.5 back. That's not happening, right? So I like the wild cards, in baseball especially. I could probably do without them in football, but in baseball, I really like them.
Well, the extra football one is silly.
Yeah, I could do without that. But the baseball ones, I'm a fan of.
Okay. Well, you may be the only fan of extending a season that's 1,000 games. I don't
like that.
Gary's never minded being the one and only of anything.
Well,
let's be honest here. He's a contrarian by nature.
No, that's true. But I actually don't like that part of it. I like the wild card on some because of the fact it keeps more teams relevant for longer, and it produces trade deadlines like we just saw. I don't like the side effect of a longer season, which is too long to begin with, but I think you take the collateral damage for the net good in this equation.
Okay, and to that end, you like November baseball then?
Occasionally. I mean, it depends who's playing. I mean, and really, like, November baseball it's usually like November 1st or 2nd.
I couldn't care less if it was November 12th or 15th or 24th. It shouldn't be in November at all. Yeah. 1st, 12th, 15th, doesn't matter. It's kind of like hockey and basketball in June. I don't need that either.
I understand. I get it. But I like the fact that more teams are relevant.
Okay. So we are here in August 1st. Okay. When did you start? August 2nd. When did you start paying attention to the baseball season?
Somewhere around April 3rd or 4th.
Okay. Is that the same for all sports?
What do you mean?
Do you start at the beginning? So Seth pays attention right about now.
Yes,
right?
I pay attention, especially to early season NBA. Okay. I love regular season NBA basketball. Baseball, I pay attention more to storylines, and I pay attention to kind of trends of what teams are playing well versus not, so I can kind of play the prognosticator game of who's going to be traded to where and when that we just all got done playing. I admittedly don't watch as many baseball games as I do the other sports, but I do pay attention to the broad storylines for the purposes of conversations like this.
Well, we enjoy having the conversation with you. Of the things that happened, we haven't had you on in a while. Of the things that have happened in this summer, what has been across all sports? What has been the most surprising thing that you've seen this summer?
I think for me, it's probably been the singularity of Damian Lillard's trade requests. Like, not only did he want to trade, but he's like, I'm only going to Miami and that's it. I was shocked by that. I really was. I thought he'd be a lot more, being the company man he's been for so many years. I thought he would prioritize to a larger degree, putting the Blazers in a position to have a good negotiating leverage to send him to a handful of places so that, everyone could win in the deal. I was pretty shocked at what I viewed as a fairly selfish decision by a guy whose whole reputation is based on being the ultimate loyalist.
Yeah, as long as he's being paid $60 million, he can be an ultimate loyalist. I mean, right? The Blazers need to be loyal. I mean,
I'm disappointed, Gary. I'm disappointed. I think I don't remember if I had talked about when I was on the show last with you. I'm disappointed on a couple fronts as a Trailblazer fan.
Yes.
Number one, I have no problem with him requesting a trade. He's earned
that. Me either.
I have a problem with him doing it after free agency started, when they signed Jeremy Grant to a 5-year, $160 million deal predicated on him being here. Because that deal never gets done if we know Lillard's leaving.
No, that's true.
Number two, apparently he liked my argument so much he left. Number two, as you said, you can't trade. No one's trading him to a team where there's nothing they need coming back.
Right. There needs to be a third team in this trade.
Right. And no one's running to help Miami.
Right. Well, if not a fourth team in this trade. I mean, there needs to be and the thing is, in the NBA, unlike in the NHL, there are no places where you can just park salaries. That doesn't exist. Everybody's close to the floor, and most people are close to the max at this point without paying that tax. Seth, you're absolutely right. Nobody's wanting to help out Miami.
No.
I mean, yeah. I mean, everybody. I think most teams were looking forward to Miami losing Vincent and losing Strauss and going, okay, now what are you going to do? Right? You got you got one first round pick in the next 3 years. And you got an aging backcourt with Kyle Lowry and Duncan Robinson, who can't play a lick of defense. What are you going to do now? And I think most pundits, including myself, are going, "Yay! It's about time they suffered," because they've always been able to pull it out of their hat. And this could potentially be another one of those. I just don't know what there is to give. And it's so if you had to guess, and I know this is not an NBA show, but what do you think the chances are that he goes to camp with them?
I think he's going to camp with them. I don't think he's going to hold out.
So you don't think he's traded before camp either?
No.
You think he's traded before the All-Star break?
Depends on really if he's going to open up his options to more than Miami.
Oh, I don't think he ever will.
Then I think he's got a problem. I mean, I don't see how this works otherwise because Miami doesn't need Hero. And they're not trading out of Bio. What the hell else are you looking at?
Yeah. No, I like I said, this is a 3-team trade because Hero's not. I believe Hero is an underrated player throughout this entire sequence. I think people are devaluing what he actually does bring to the table, but he doesn't bring anything that Portland needs.
Right. That's the whole point. They don't need a 6'5", 6'6" shooter. They got 4 guys that are doing that right now.
He is a really good player. There are teams, and we got Gary back. There are teams that Tyler Hero fits very well with. Portland's just not that team.
Yeah.
Like, you want to pick a team that he fits very well with? He would fit great with the Lakers. He'd fit perfectly with the Lakers. But
Hero or Lillard?
Hero.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, what would the Lakers do? Right? We're trying to find a way that he gets to Miami while you're not helping Miami. And no team wants to help Miami.
And
my point is that Tyler Hero has been devalued in this whole trade process because he is what he is, and he's very good at what he does. Just Portland doesn't need that.
Right.
So
they have Grant for that.
Well, they have Grant. They have Anthony Simons. They have a couple of players.
They have Shaedon Sharp. They just brought in Henderson.
Right.
They don't need guards.
Right.
No.
I mean, you look around the league, there are teams that need that. The Lakers, the Pistons. Well, the Pistons don't need it anymore because they just got Ivy.
Here's an interesting deal for you.
Indiana.
Yep. I was going to say, what about Sacramento? What if you built a package for Lillard to Sacramento built around Sabonis? Sabonis would help Portland in a big way.
No chance.
Sacramento's just signed him to a 5-year extension. They're not trading him.
Sabonis is one of the most unique NBA players, and he is beloved. As much as Lillard is beloved in Portland, Sabonis
They do love him there.
He's not going anywhere. He's not. I mean, the only way that he goes to Portland is if Arvydas is playing next to him. It's the only way.
Arvydas or your Arvydas?
Hey, I got to get credit for pulling Arvydas Sabonis along with Alex Ochoa today. I've done a pretty good job of pulling these out.
It's a really interesting situation for Riley because if you get him, you become the favorite, most likely.
Well, it depends what you give up.
Assuming it's Hero, Jovic, Giacchez, and 2 first-round picks or something along those lines.
Right.
Because there's nothing else to offer.
Right. I mean, Portland, I would assume, would want Bam, but Miami's not going to trade him.
Well, because Miami's not going to do that because that kills the whole point of making the deal.
Right, exactly. Yep.
So
it's good times. Yeah, but I was surprised at that whole Portland thing with the way Lillard orchestrated this. I was not surprised at the trade request, nor was I even disappointed at it, like you were saying, Seth. But the timing, like you pointed out, and the singularity of his directive was fairly shocking to me.
For a guy who's had so much goodwill there over the last 10 years, deservedly so.
I would, if this was James Harden, I would have expected this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't think but the thing is, I don't think he's losing any of that goodwill.
That's the amazing part. I think you're right.
Not in Portland. James Harden never had any goodwill. So, I mean, that's the end of that. I will tell you the biggest surprise that for me has been how much noise there was about Harden going to Houston and how little noise there is right now. You know what that means to me? Ime Udoka said, no way in hell do I want this guy on my team. No, that's what, like, it all happened right before he was announced as the coach, right?
Yep.
And then he's announced as the coach, and he just went up to Ferreira and said, nope, not going to happen. Not on my watch. I don't want this guy. And now where does Harden go?
Nowhere. He's going to stay in Philadelphia.
In the same way that Lillard's going to stay in Portland, at least to start the season.
Yeah.
All right, we got 5 more minutes. Gary, do you have a parting word for us?
Yeah, so I think right now, if you're a New York baseball fan, I think you have to be universally disappointed. I think from my perspective, as we were discussing earlier, I'm disappointed as a Met fan. And I think if you're a Yankee fan, you have to be equally disappointed. They did nothing. I mean, nothing of any relevance. They are 3 games above 500. You either have to trade and rebuild or you have to reload. And like, if you're a Yankee fan, I like, what are you feeling today? I mean, you
fire the whole front office.
I mean, it's just brutal. Fire the manager, fire the general manager, and let's get a new philosophy in here. This team,
Sean, how long have I been saying to get rid of Cashman?
Oh, he's been barking up this tree for a long time.
Years.
Well, I think Cashman needs to go, but I think more important than that is Aaron Boone. I don't think Aaron Boone's ever been a good manager. I don't think he's ever been allowed to be a manager, to be frank about it. I don't think he's ever had any real authority in game management. I think he's just taking directives. He's a paper pusher, in my opinion. And I just think it's just as stale and as interesting as 2-day-old toast. They're just brutal.
2-day-old toast is pretty boring, dude.
So that's my parting shot.
Cashman should have been gone 10 years ago.
It's probably true. He's got that life insurance policy for his job, career insurance. They don't even make that. My goodness.
All right.
Good stuff.
Sounds good. So, Gary, thank you so much for coming on. We'll get you back when the NBA season starts. Seth, you got anything for the final 5?
Congratulations. As long as we're talking about the negatives on the Mets, on New York baseball and basketball, how about props to anyone who's a fan of Doris Burke?
Yes.
Mark Jackson is gone, which is fine. She moves up to the number 1, and she'll be the first female to work the NBA Finals as a TV analyst. Fantastic. And
from one of the guys that from New York, you the same way that we listened to Mike Breen when he started. Mike Breen is the epitome of professional. Doris Burke is going to be a great add to that team. Like, I think that is going to be fantastic. And I like listening to her to begin with. I just think why are you giving me a quizzical look?
No, I'm thinking on something.
Oh, I just think that the two of them, I forgot who the third person is on that team.
Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers
was a good announcer when he did it many years ago.
Yeah.
I think that'll be fine.
Look, the only person that and kudos to Doris Burke, who gives props to every person that she's ever had help her along the way. And look, there's only one person I'd rather be a color commentator right now than her, and that's Hubie Brown. And you'll never get me to say anything negative about Hubie because he's amazing. But he is what he is, and he's like 90. So, all right. For Seth Kamens, I'm Sean Palmer, Seth and Sean Sports. We'll be back next week. And have a good one, everybody. Yeah. See you.